cares. And that is Christians' fault. So I've had a lot of people complain at me as if, like I said, as if my personal choices are something I should. I mean, it's kind of, I'm self-analyzing as I talk here. I find it very, very interesting that Christians look at Islam as a threat as opposed to just understanding that it is a massive power vacuum because Christianity feels godless and you do not feel God in Christianity anymore.
Not all Christianity is the same. Not all denominations. That's like saying Boko Haram and the Sunni Muslims are the same, or the Shiites are the same. Boko Haram, there's a lot of Muslims who don't agree with Boko Haram. So, like I said, not all Christianity is the same. Orthodox Christianity in Ethiopia is very traditional, base, and the same thing in Mexico. So Christianity is global. Just because in the UK is weak doesn't mean it's weak across the earth, because the word spread across the earth. So that's very disingenuous of him. And like I said, he's doing it to promote Islam, but that's extremely disingenuous of Andrew Tate for saying that.
More, and that's the reason that people are so attracted to Islam. That's the reason I was attracted to it, because I respect it. How can you believe in something you don't respect? I don't know, and that's a general question for anything. You have to respect it. You have to look at the creeds and say, okay, I respect that. I respect how they defend their religion. I respect how they're black and white on certain issues. I respect all of these things. Also, it's kind of interesting because if you want to measure the success of a religion, you can measure it in regards to how many people follow it, or like you just said in the UK, or how fast it's growing. But I think the number one measure of success for a religion is how well it preserves the sanctity of a society. I think that if you want to say, is this a successful religion? Well, then you'd look at the society which it governs and say, are the creeds of the religion being adhered to by the society that it governs? I would argue that most Islamic countries have an Islamic feel. I would argue you'd avoid a lot of the LGBT garbage. You'll avoid a lot of the woke insanity. You'll avoid a lot of the feminism, which has destroyed the West, and all these things, because
Yes, that's correct. In a lot of Muslim countries, they protect the people from the degeneracy of LGBTQ and feminism. But there are countries, Christian countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, probably not Kenya, but Ethiopia, different parts of Africa, Philippines, Mexico, different parts of Latin America, where Christianity is rooted and strong. There are strong family values, stable families, and even in America, there are plenty of good Christian churches in the South where they don't tolerate the degeneracy. The hometown where I'm from in Louisiana, the pastor didn't take the vaccine. He refused, even though people were calling the cops on him. He refused. So there are plenty of base churches throughout America and throughout the West. But no, they don't. It's not a theocracy like in most Muslim countries. There are theocracies. America was founded on freedom. It wasn't founded on a theocracy. So you can't judge these Western countries as a theocracy when they weren't meant to function as such. So that's also disingenuous. You have to do your research when you speak. But I'll give them a little bit of slack, but not too much. So either way, like I said, there are plenty of countries like in Latin America, Africa, and Southeast Asia, and in America where they adhere and they block the degeneracy.
Islam is being adhered to and it's keeping the society functioning. Do I go to Christian countries and feel like Christianity is preserving them? Not really.
What about true hardcore following Christians? I'll give you an example. Obviously, you're just coming off the back of doing a podcast with George Janko.
Yep.
Now, I love that podcast purely because you guys was talking about religion, you being a Muslim, and he seems like, I haven't met him obviously, but a true following Christian.
Yep.
And it's funny because when I see a true following Christian, it's like you're so close to Islam, but you're just a couple of places where you're going wrong.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, shout out to George, because one day, you never know, man could be Muslim himself.
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Christians must feel a deep resentment towards Muslims, especially the true believers, because we stick up for what we believe in, and they want to, but they can't. Because
in many parts in Africa, they burn alive homosexuals. It's not a flex, and you shouldn't be doing that because you can revert them because it's a spirit in them that's making them homosexual. But there are many places where they don't tolerate it. And yes, many Muslims, I'll tell you the truth, I'm fair and balanced like Fox News. I like it. I like the fact that Islam has a brotherhood, but many places have brotherhoods. There are many parts in Latin America where the Catholic Church has a huge brotherhood order. They have different orders. Not the Catholic, the Pope Francis can't change the culture in Latin America where they don't tolerate that kind of stuff because he'll lose his influence if he tries to excommunicate people in conservative nations. So there are many places that have many Christian creeds that have brotherhoods. So, but he is right. Um, Muslims, I do like the fact that they do have a tight brotherhood. I'm fair and balanced.
because their own religion has become so woke and almost betrayed them. How can you stand up and say, I'm a Christian and I mean it, and you better, when they have gay preachers? Like,
That makes no sense.
it doesn't make any sense.
Again, not just because the Anglican Church has homosexual preachers does not mean that they're Christian. What does a person in Peru have to do with the Anglican Church? Are they supposed to march on the Anglican Church or whatever degenerate church and slaughter those gay pastors and preachers? They could, but then, like I said, the Lord don't need you to be a thug, killing and hurting people. Because first off, it's a spirit within them that's making them be that way. Like God's glory can't be done. We did that. They did that in the Old Testament, and men still fell. They slaughtered their enemies, the Philistines and Canaanites. They did all that, and Israel still fell. So that way doesn't work. That's why Christ came. He looked at the heart of the man. He didn't care about the flesh and how you present yourself, praying 5 times or 20 times a day. The Lord don't care about that. It's about your heart. So
Sense.
Yeah.
And your fellow Christians will turn on you and call you a bigot. Your fellow Christians will call you a bigot and call you hateful for saying that a man shouldn't chop his dick off. And then you're going to sit there and say I'm a true Christian.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
So all the Christians.
not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord. I need to pull up. You know what? I'm gonna let this play and I'm gonna pull up the verse where the Lord talks about not everybody who says they are Christian are really Christians. They're the people of iniquity. But I'm gonna let Andrew Tate rip.
I speak to who truly believe, and I've spoken to a lot of them, they are very envious of Islam. And then I'm like, well, then what's the delay? But they feel like an affinity to Christianity because they were raised with Christianity or they're born Christian, and perhaps they see Islam as a Middle Eastern religion, which is kind of interesting because Christianity is a Middle Eastern religion.
Yeah.
They're from the same place.
Yeah, they all spiral they stem from the same country as the Middle East.
I read somewhere that only 18% of Muslims are even Arab. I think the largest, there's obviously a huge black proportion, and Indonesia is a massively Islamic country. Malaysia.
I think Islam just crossed over 3.5 billion Muslims globally. Wow. That's more than half the population of the world.
If you believe in God, I don't see how you cannot be.
Just because a number doesn't prove that it's true. Just because everybody is, let's just say Islam is the number one religion in the world, that doesn't mean it's true. Let's keep it a buck. Islam came 600 years after Christianity, but that's all irrelevant. Let me pull up the Bible verse real quick.
Be a Muslim. I just don't see.
Let me pull up the Bible verse to let you guys pull up the Bible verse. So it says in Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 through 23, not everyone who said unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom, but he who has done the will of my Father, which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, in thy name? And in thy name have we not cast out demons? and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. That work in iniquity. You see what I'm saying? So it's like that's what it's saying. So you guys got to understand that just because people do physical things doesn't mean it's true. Just because people do all those type of things, it's irrelevant. It don't matter how many people join a certain religion. It still ain't gonna be true. The one true religion is Jesus Christ. Let's keep it a buck. So these things people see, yes, Islam is doing very well against the degeneracy and the nonsense that's going on. But is it the one true religion? No, it's not the only religion on the earth. That's crazy to say that he would say that. But I understand why he said it, because it is admirable of them that they stand up against the government and its degeneracy laws that's trying to hurt people. But there are also many Christian churches who are against it and fighting against the degeneracy as well. So I didn't want this video to wrap too long, but like I said, I don't want to go through the whole interview, but this was a good understanding that you have to understand things. You have to look at things in the spirit. Not all things are made for fleshly ears. You have to have the spirit. So, anyways, this was a video I just wanted to talk about. One of the things I'm passionate about, but as a Christian man. So, like I said, this is Darius and down on the TV. I'm out.